So, welcome all. Welcome on this occasion of 2nd October. That's a very auspicious day for us as the institution of values and our values fraternity, being the values day today, and we are celebrating it for 53rd values date. And our theme on today's values day is the rising need for values in the present ecosystem. It was 1968, the same day, Institution of Values was formed by a joint effort of seven eminent values at that time. Mr. P.C. Goel, late Mr. P.C. Goel, led the formation of this institution, and we always remember him as a father of valuation and the institution of values. And we this year only we commenced the Founders Day program on his birth date, that is 21st May. So in all, institution of values is committed with the three occasions to meet and celebrate. That is one as Founders Day, beginning with Founders Day on 21st May, and 2nd October as the Values Day, and then the final culmination on in Indian Valuer Congress or Global Valuation Summit, whichever is happening in a particular year. So these have become mandatory celebrations for us. So the theme is leading towards what we are proposing to have in our this year's Indian Values Congress being celebrated, being held at Guwahati on from the 16th of December to 18th of December. So, and there we are going to deliberate on the investing resources in the growth and expansion of valuation ecosystem. So this is just the beginning, and let's see that how we culminate in our this year's program. I would like to welcome our president, Mr. P.K. Tyagarajan ji. He's a known figure. Doesn't need any introduction from my side. A very well known figure for all of us in the values fraternity. He has been serving institution for quite a long time. I don't remember the exact year right now, but he can always tell us and share us. But it has been a long time since he is guiding us, and he is leading us to bring us to this stature, where I think institution of values is the largest, and of course it is the oldest, and doing every bit of what we are supposed to do, what our memorandum of association is required. That is the growth of the valuation profession. And this is now becoming very vital to address the present day challenges of the valuers. That is why this theme becomes very important, that the rising need for valuers in the present ecosystem. Today's program will be addressed by our president, our beloved president, Mr. P.K. Tyagarajan ji, and followed by Mr. R.K. Patel, who is Vice President of Institution of Values. And it is a very happy moment, and it becomes a very important junction that today we would be launching institutional brochure of IOV and IOV registered valuer foundation. That is today we are launching, sir. So that would be one, and then our it will be followed by our technical session to be started at 3:40. We have very eminent speakers with us to deliberate on today's theme, which includes our long associated valuer, very eminent from Goa. I welcome Mr. Mahendra Kakule, for that. And Mr. Pramod Atle, he's from Pune and plant and machinery valuer. And then Mr. L.V. Shyam Sundar is a insolvency professional and a very good faculty of IOV RVF, and has been continuously contributing towards the whole programs. So I will not take much time. It is now 11 minutes past 3. So I welcome and I request our President, Mr. P.K. Tyagarajan ji, to give us a piece of advice, a brief welcome, a brief piece of advice to all attending today's great day, that is valuous day. Thank you, sir. Please.
Okay, good evening. Thank you very much, Vinay, for all the nice words spoken about me and to the fellow valuers. And as you said, we are one of the oldest and more number of valuers in the country. This is started by your father, our father, Mr. P.C. Goyal, with the vision and mission that the valuation profession, not only in India, throughout the world, it should come up and serve the society and the country for economical development. Why he has started on this particular day, it's obvious that is the birthday of Mahatma Gandhi, and at the same time, Lal Bahadur Shastri's birthday. You see, both are coincidence. That is why this day is very, very important for all of us, particularly the valuers of our country. Nowadays, we are having more than 30,000 valuers. Your father has put a seed. Now it is grown up like a banyan tree with more than 30,000 people, not only in India, but also in the world. Therefore, we have to thank him and remember him and his vision mission. We should take forward to the future generation, not only today, but also for the future, for the country and economic development. In this day, I wanted to congratulate each and every one of you for joining with us to celebrate this happy moment. But why we have chosen this topic, as you know, as we discussed in the council meeting, the rising need for valuers in the present ecosystem. Rise, R-A-C, rise means to get up or go to a higher position. In other words, rise means become higher or move upwards. In another word, rise is to elevate something to a higher level. The valuer must raise his knowledge in the field of valuation to raise him to a distinct higher position in society. A valuer can increase his clients' reputation and his fees. It is an act of gathering of highest rank or position and a rise to power. For the valuer, knowledge is the power which will be helpful for creating value for his clients. Adopt a unique or specific valuation field. Focus on brand perception, that is, be a specialist in the valuation field. Provide a positive experience. Select quality over price. Identify your strengths. Adjust your marketing strategy. This will be achieved only if a valuer has enriched his knowledge. In earlier days, the valuer will be valuing the assets only by technical aspects. After IBBI, the valuers are made to comply with the accepted standards, legal aspects, and accounting standards. The motivation has made the valuers raise their standards as well as the objectivity and subjectivity in their valuation assignments. In both bank and NCLT valuations, the valuers who with less knowledge find it difficult, and the potential risk nowadays increased a lot. The valuers are now determined to learn more to improve future profitability. The valuer must identify active inequity cases and create stronger cash flow, all of which means more value to the valuer in society. So submit high quality work, make a unique way of working, adjust the marketing strategy, ask the right questions, become an expert, and focus on what you can do. For that, seek advice from the best professional, work to boost the profits, increase the assignments, and lower expenses. Continue to improve the knowledge, create a strategic plan, develop repeatable processes, and empower the people. And lastly, stand out from the crowd. There's a proverb by Mahatma Gandhi, work is worship. That's always applicable to our values of our country. When you work as a valuer and worship it, then it will give automatically whatever you feel in your assignments. I wish on this day, all the values of our country should come up well in their profession and also family life and achieve so many laurels in their name. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Wish you best of luck to celebrate this Values Day on behalf of the council members and myself joined together. What we expect the values of our country should come up in their profession and life, as I said earlier, every in the future, particularly see the future generation and try to include more female members because they are all Mahalakshmis for us, give more money to us. Therefore, add them to our group and celebrate with them also. Thank you. Thank you again. Best of luck.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your, again, the motivational and guiding piece of brief about the today's program. That you have rightly said that we have to now think about our future generations and especially the female and the aspiring youth. That is the need of the hour, and that is the future course of action we should have. That is how this entire ecosystem will be benefited. Thank you, sir. And now I would request our Mr. R.K. Patel, Vice President, Institution of Values, to address this gathering. Sir, please.
Thank you, Vinayji, and good afternoon to all, President sir, and all the distinguished members present here. I wish this day, Values Day, in the remembrance of the great P.C. Goyal, and this will continue for long. And I'm proud that I'm the member of one of the oldest institution on valuers in India, and I think one of the largest in the world. And at the same time, I expect it to be the strongest in the world. With this vision, I see the theme, which, as our President sir has already explained, the rising needs of the valuers in present ecosystem. Okay, see, in the recent years, we have seen number of developments and drastic developments in the field of valuations, and valuation practice has been raised to a great extent. But at the same time, a lot of challenges have also brought to us. And the ecosystem, present ecosystem, is not that eco-friendly, okay? But we have to make it eco-friendly with the great challenges. And at the same time, what I have observed that the stakeholders' expectations have increased like anything, having available the good valuers in our country. So their expectations have also increased. Okay, I mean the stakeholders are not only the banking institutions, but at the same time government, regulatory bodies, special purpose vehicles. They all have different kinds of expectations from the valuers. Okay, having got the IBBI registered valuers, they think that valuers can make a sea change. Okay, and that is true. The expectations have increased like anything, and it is our duty to meet these expectations of all the stakeholders, including government, regulatory bodies, financial institutions, and industry at large. This is obvious. This is obvious, and it is our duty to meet their expectations. And then you can see that different regulatory bodies, okay, like accounting bodies, like that regulatory bodies of electricity, ports, telecom, all have different kinds of regulatory system wherein they want the valuers to adhere to their regulations and develop the methodologies of valuations of their assets for highest and best use. And they and all the regulatory bodies are also now thinking that they have to put their assets in good income generating assets. Okay, so and then in that case, no, they approach the valuers in a different way, and they have their own different regulatory bodies and guidelines. Okay, so we have to develop this system. And at the same time, it is the duty of our institutions to have these kind of specialized training programs. Of course, we have already started with some of the things. So these are the challenges we have. And you can see that with this, if we meet the requirements of our local bodies and local regulatory systems, I think we can cross the borders and do valuations abroad. Okay, and that should be objective of our valuers, because large valuations are still carried out by the large firms coming from outside. And why we valuers cannot serve the cross border? And this is what we have to meet with. And for that, we have to have a good valuation standard followed by all the valuers, and we should have good guidelines for the valuers. And valuers are also have the duty to come out with their own experiences and their case studies, and bring good articles and good knowledge sharing with the institution. I think this is what my appeal to all the members of our institution. And this theme, I think this theme is to be propagated, and the theme needs to be brought in a broader way when we come to IBC 2022 in December this year. I think these are the challenges, and our great speakers today, Mahendraji and Shyamji and Pramodji, I think they will also address these kind of issues. That what are the challenges in the present ecosystem, because ecosystem is also very strong nowadays, because ecosystem is not only the industries and the stakeholders, but at the same time regulatory bodies like IBBI and our RVOs, they are also nowadays monitoring us, and including what fees we are charging. So I think this is a very, very strong ecosystem we have to adhere to, and we cannot escape out of that. Okay, and then we have to see that, and you must have observed that number of IPs. Mr. Shyamji will be understanding, being IP, that number of IPs have been summoned by the IBBI, and they have been penalized and debarred from the practice from 1 year to 5 years. I think, and they have been charged very heavy penalty also. Maybe because of their fault, or maybe some kind of lackings or ignorance, or whatever it may be. Okay, and that similar kind of things, challenges I am foreseeing for the valuers also. So let us meet with the challenges in the present ecosystem, and this is going to be there. But still, there are a lot of opportunities and the rising needs of the valuers, and we valuers are now treated at par with other professionals like chartered accountants, cost accountants, company secretaries, insolvency professionals, and whatnot, lawyers. So we have been very, very, very strong element of the economy of this country now. Okay, and then we have to meet these challenges and fulfill the requirements of all the stakeholders, the complete ecosystem. With this, I again, once again, wish all the members of this great day and their contribution to this objective of our institution. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Patel Sahab, and you have very well. Patel Sahab is a very busy person in his professional practice of valuation and insolvency. He's an insolvency professional as well. And as a professional and as a vice president of the institution of valuers, he has explained what is a rising need. I have read somewhere, sir, that if you have done some service to somebody, so expectations from yourself is raised, and by raising such expectations, what you have described, there lies the responsibility, and the responsibility is always with challenges, and to combat those challenges or to take on those challenges, at that time you become you come to such a level where the society requires you, need you, and that is a purpose, I think, of today's our theme, that the rising need. You have very well described that there is a rising need for valuers in the entire ecosystem, and we are the in valuation ecosystem. I believe that we are the center, so everything revolves around a valuer, and valuers are required to raise their capacities, their capabilities by sharing what you have, of course, very well described, that we have to share our knowledge, and that is how this profession has grown after this institution of valuers came into being in 1968. Before that, there was no such profession as such. That may be an occupation for very few people, but with the help of institution, with the help of ongoing seminars, in our continuous seamless distribution of Indian Valuer, the flagship of our institution, I think that particular valuation ecosystem now is in offing. And that is why, sir, even not only as the institution of valuers, but its subsidiary, IOV institution, IOV Registered Valuer Foundation, it is again the largest and the oldest, we can say now, for that also. This year we will be completing 5 years of our inception in December, sir, for IOV Registered Valuer Foundation. So, I think now it's a time to launch our brochure, which was very much in wanting for a long time. Please, Vishesh.
Good.
Thank you, sir. I think we take proud in producing this. A few words from all of you regarding this brochure. Sir, Tyagarajan ji, sir.
Yeah, it's excellent. I have to congratulate the
Thank
persons
you.
who have taken the effort to bring this level. Okay. Then I have forgotten one thing I
Sir,
wanted to
yeah,
tell in this time. 10 days before there was a meeting in the whole world, and our finance minister, Nirmala Sitharaman, was addressing, and what she quoted about valuation, I wanted to quote that one.
Please, sir.
Valuation and valuation methodologies are all being very much forced by private equity in the finance of the digital formation. He mentioned this word, not I have told. What she said about valuation and valuation methodologies. Now, we cannot say that she doesn't know. She is also following us in a close manner where finance department is following our professionals in their development, particularly on the digital field. That's what I wanted to mention, which she spoke 10 days before in one of the Congress. Therefore, we have good hope, particularly from the finance department also in the future. Therefore, our values are going to have a good life and future benefits because the finance minister itself is saying about our profession now. Therefore,
That's
hope for
great,
the
sir.
best. Hope for the best. We will do it.
Sure.
We will do it. We are there to
Sure,
assist
sir.
all our values and we will support them in any way, in any corner. Okay? We are there as a team. We will help them and see that the development of our country. Thank you. Go ahead, Vinay.
Thank you, sir. And I would like, on your behalf and the institution behalf, I would like to thank our team, designer team, which we
Yeah,
have
sure.
in our office
Sure.
for designing such a beautiful brochure.
That's it.
And Patel sir, please, your views.
I don't have to say anything more. I think let us start with the business. Okay. Yeah.
You are always like that. You
So
are
because
always like that,
our
Patel.
speakers should have sufficient time.
Yeah. Just starting, sir. Kapila sir, you have something to say about the brochure?
Sir, it is very much expected because we are seeing the digital form of Indian valuers, which is fantastic. So it is in line with that only, keeping in, what should I say, keeping in sync with the modern digital things in each and every sphere of our life. So I think we are on the right track. Congratulations to the team.
Thank you. Thank you. And I would like every value member to take pride in producing this brochure to anywhere he goes. So that is the idea, that anywhere you go, you have this brochure that I am the member of this organization. That is the purpose. So in brief, it is explained what is the institution and what are its visions and missions. Very brief. Thank you, Kapil sir. Shyam Sundar ji, do you have anything to say, please?
Excellent, sir. It's looking very good, very nice. I'm sure this will definitely benefit the association and the members. Thank you.
Yeah, that is the purpose. Thank you. And I think now it's right time to start our session. It may be a bit before we had taken some time now, but I think that we can start with the technical session now, beginning with Mr. Mahendra Kakule. He's a land and building valuer and written books and a lot of articles. He has been awarded the gold medal from Institution of Values for his very good articles, and a very long time friend of mine. And from Goa, the place where I always love to go, but they don't invite me, sir.
They will invite you, don't worry.
So, Mr. Kakule, just some lighter side, and please proceed with your today's.
Sir, your family member, guests are invited.
Correct.
Sir.
You are absolutely right.
Atlaji, you have joined. So I think I need to welcome him. Atlaji, you are most welcome. And any word you would like to say about our brochure? Your
Brochure is very nice. Actually, widespread area region covered by IOV is definitely giving some robust base for us. In Pune, you are knowing that we have started approaching bankers or financial institutions, how the process of valuation is carried out, and how to minimize the gap between the information sharing. And maybe there are issues with the bankers as well. So we wanted to have a good platform to correlate and coordinate very much clearly, so that it will have good environment for the valuation purpose. I hope it will be a good start for us, and I hope that if it is followed by all other institutes, region wise, then it will be again good, because each banker will say that each branch is coming to us with the same agenda, and then it can be a mission, or it can be a revolutionary phase for us. I hope your support is very much necessary for that, and
Sure.
I'm confident that it will be done very successfully.
Thank you, sir, and wish you great success, and wish you
Thank you.
all of a great success. Our now speakers who are going to deliberate on today's theme.
Yeah.
And of course, at the institutional level, I would like to share that we have written to number all banks regarding the valuation, how it should be done, or whatever. We have made a brief letter and send them, and we are inviting them that you please call upon our members in your regions and discuss the challenges and the best practices.
Yes.
Before I start this program, I make an appeal to all the members present here, eminent members, for regarding this Indian Value Congress to be held at Guwahati. The programs are being shared. We have to this year we have designed it in a different way. It is almost on for 3-day program. First day is inaugural and networking eve we are planning, along with the culture and gala dinner and all. And rest 2 days are technical sessions. So and we have planned on 6 technical sessions of 2 hours each, and going a bit different in their formation, bit different. And I request prominent people to come up. We are going to have a presentation in each, at the end of the each session, a paper presentation session of roughly 15 minutes. So whosoever has some paper, some research work, we would like him to share on that platform. Soon it will be released to all the requirements and all that. And before that, we are going to, special editions we have in the November, and then the souvenir for this Indian Value Congress. For that souvenir, I require total cooperation as far as regards the best of the articles, which should reach us by before 31st October, so that we can, our technical team, or the person who would be scrutinizing those articles to be published, they get the time. And those articles in the souvenir, again, they will be published in the ensuing Indian Value Journal, and it will attract 4 credit points to be given to the registered valuers with IBBI. That is the, and of course we are also looking for some real good awards as well for that. So before I would like to all of you to come and see the tourism aspect of Guwahati, enjoy the sessions and enjoy the Assam area. There are 7 states, and this October session will our October issue of Indian Valuer will consist of all the maximum details what are supposed to know. So again, I welcome, I thank, and I wish a great success to today's Valuers Day for all. In all, I think we are at different places. There are around 11 such programs being held. That's the beauty of an institution of values, sir. And that is something great. 11 at different places, physical, and of course, it is going on till 9th. It will end on 9th. So I again welcome. I wish a grand success for today's program. Mendraji, now people are eager to listen to you. I should move away and don't come in between you and the participants. Thank you. Please. All is yours.
Yeah, I would want to share the screen. Is it possible for me to share?
Go ahead, Mahendra.
Yes, sir.
Feel free.
Okay, I'll share it. My screen is visible, sir?
Yes, Mahendraji,
Yeah.
your screen is visible.
Yeah.
Pricing it
So
for
go ahead.
values.
Okay. So okay. So the rising need of valuers for valuers in the new ecosystem is the theme today, and what I'm going to do is basically I'm going to speak not on the minute parts of the ecosystem as they stand today, but I'm going to do a little bit of crystal gazing and look into the future and what I can think as to how the profession will pan out in future and what we should be doing to be, future ready so that we can take all the challenges that are bound to be there in future for us to face. Looking at the present ecosystem as we stand here today, the ecosystem is slightly changed because of the things which have happened in the recent past for the last 5-6 years, where we have a regulator and then we have various organizations to look after the day-to-day practice of values of its members and to look after their education and enhancement of knowledge. So this has happened and this is a welcome sign also. Government of India is giving importance to the profession. This is also an important sign. And going forward, this ecosystem is going to produce, I think, in the long run, good, qualified, and knowledgeable set of valuers who will be able to take the mantle of nation building onto their shoulders, because the valuers have got a very, very important role to play when it comes to nation building. There is no doubt about it. It is 100% given. Now, if at all I feel that there is one great area which requires great attention to, is that the field of education when it comes to graduate level of teaching. During the past decade, it was possible for many of us valuers who were into practice at that particular point in time to undergo post-graduation training into valuation, because some universities were definitely giving us a platform to learn these post-graduation studies, and it was a distance learning program. And some 7 days a year or 8 days a year was the physical form, and then we could write our exams, and then ultimately many of us took benefit of this arrangement and did our MSc in valuation and got our degrees in real estate valuation, plant and machinery valuation, and so forth and so forth. But unfortunately, now this system has come to an end because of certain reasons, which I will not go into. But this has left a void. I really do not think that the education which we get, the 50 hours training program to write an BBI examination and to ultimately pass it, is enough to actually a replacement for the 2 years of graduate learning, which was possible for some of us. But this arrangement has to be possible in future, so that the future generation which wants to join this profession has got this facility to take up further study into valuation. There has to be post-graduation studies and PhD studies in valuation. Only when these are there, there will be, what should I say, research, which is very, very important for any field to go forward, research and improvement into any particular field. At the moment, there is no such thing as post-graduation studies in India in valuation. So things have come to a sort of a standstill or come to a stalled nature as far as this particular aspect is concerned. So all the stakeholders have to look into this, and IBBI have actually in their vision statement provided for such a framework, and they should be looking into it and starting it fast as early as possible. Okay. With this brief background and my thoughts on this particular subject, let me now start with my presentation. As I said, I'm not going to go into too much of micro-analysis or day-to-day evaluation things, evaluations as they are done today, but I'm going to look into the future, a bit of a crystal gazing, and see how the profession probably might, evolve in future, right? The story of Indian values is indubitably linked to the story of resurgent India. This is very, very much given. We are part of this great country of ours, and this country of ours is now resurging, trying to find old glory which we had so sadly lost during the rule of the foreigners on our nation. And after 75 years of independence, now probably there is a confidence in our footsteps as a nation. And we think that we belong here on the world stage. There is a lot of confidence here going forward. And as the dear Prime Minister has said, that the next 25 years till we reach 100 years of our nation would be the most crucial factor for evolving and developed and resurgent India, so that we can take our place at a high table of the world affairs. So the story of Indian values is indubitably linked to the story of resurgent India, which is very much clear in everybody's mind, right? Now let us look at the areas in which the values services were required at the time India got independent and are required now. Things have changed a bit. Obviously, they are bound to, because change is the only constant in life. So what was there 75 years back and what is there today, there is bound to be some difference. And so let us look at this. So post-independence, when the nation became independent and we were a young nation and we got started into various spheres of our activity, the areas in which the services of valuers was required was basically estate duty, which came into force in 1953, then Wealth Tax Act, which came into force in 1957, Income Tax Act came into force in 1961, and Land Acquisition Act, which I called as the Mother Act, through which the profession evolved itself, was there in force since 1894, and it continued till sometime, till recently, as recent as 2013. So Estate Duty Act, Wealth Tax Act, Income Tax Act, and Land Acquisition Act, these were the acts which were like, foundations or the pillars on which the profession got built after the independence of India. And obviously, till that time, there was, what should we say, there was no statute which was governing the profession, and that statute is still not there. There is no Valuers Act which has come into force, but at least there is some mechanism for control, growth, and tending to the profession of valuation now through the Companies Act, which came into force in 2013. But this valuers part came into force in 2017, if I'm not mistaken. So in present times, the Income Tax Act continues. Estate Duty Act has been abolished long time back. Wealth Tax Act continues, but the tax is zero. So basically, there is no scope for us to do valuation under Wealth Tax Act. The new Land Acquisition and Rehabilitation Act came into force in 2013, which was probably more people friendly, wherein people could get, the people who lost their land for the development of our country could get due compensation for the forced nature they were forced to undergo of acquisition. And then the Companies Act came in 2013, which was fantastic. And part of that is the under section 247, the valuers section. And IBC also, a game changer code, came into force in 2016. So these are the areas now, as compared to what was there at the time of independence. These are the areas under which our services are required as valuers. That is Income Tax Act, Land Acquisition Act, Companies Act, and IBC. There are other spheres also, but I will come to that later. Now, even if these are the statutes under which valuation is required from valuers, the real booster for the profession came into, I will say early 2000, because of the increasing game changer event, which I call as the housing finance boom. This housing finance boom really came into force or found its fate in 2000. And people who used to previously depend on, I remember when we were growing old and people would say, okay, he is working for government and he has put up a proposal to the government asking for loan so that he can construct his house. And then government would go through the file and sanction a loan for him. Or he would go to, if he's working for some private company, he would have put up a proposal, that person, he or she, that he wants to build a house, and the company would arrange some loan for him or that lady. These were the things which were happening, and sort of a finance from the banks or financial institutions for purchase of flats or shops or construction of house was almost non-existent. Probably only LIC housing was doing something, or to some extent, maybe HDFC Finance also came into being during those times prior to 2000. But the things were not too great for person who intended to build his house or or buy a flat. So that was pretty difficult. But after the liberalization of the Indian economy, the housing finance as a concept came forth in a big way, and the banks were keen to finance such people or their customers who were interested in buying a place in which they could live peacefully with their families. So this was a big game changer, in my opinion, and that gave a real boost to valuation profession, because bankers needed valuer services for mortgage lending decisions. That is estimation of market value, estimation of cost of construction, certification of stage value of construction, estimation of realizable value, estimation of distress sale value if the account turned bad, and as we see recently, valuation under SARFAESI Act also. Now, if we look at the percentage of mortgage to GDP ratio, look at this figure which I'm pointing out. Mortgage to GDP ratio in 2005, that is 5 years after this event of boom of home finance happened, the mortgage to GDP ratio in India was almost like 6% or maybe 6.5%. As things stood in 2021, it has increased to almost like 12%. Now, let us put this in perspective also. 6% was a part of a GDP of India in 2005, which was like $834 billion only. Now it is almost like 12% of GDP in 2021, when India's GDP has become 3,535 billion. That is almost like $3.35 trillion. So if you work out 12% of $3.53 trillion, the sum which you get is phenomenally huge. That shows the quantum of increase in the housing loan which has happened in recent past. And our economy is still growing so fast. And it is the largest, fastest growing economy, large economy in the world as things stand today, and likely to be in near future or maybe for the next 2 or 3 decades for sure. So that being the case, the need for housing is going to increase all the time, and the role of valuers is also going to increase. Now, having understood that our mortgage to GDP ratio today in a 3.53 billion economy has touched almost 12%. If we compare this ratio to the leading economies of the world, is there scope for it to grow further? Let us look at that. So if we looked at India's mortgage penetration, it is still quite low. This is a graph of penetration level, mortgage GDP levels of different countries in the year 2017. This is published by RBI only. And in 2017, if we look, India's GDP mortgage to GDP penetration, as I said, was almost in the range of 10%. China's was at that particular point in time, that is 2017, was like 20%. And if you came here, USA is 50% plus, UK is almost like 70%, and Denmark is almost like 80%. So it indicates that GDP, mortgage to GDP ratio, as a nation becomes evolved and developed, is going to increase all the time. We are at a figure of about 12% in a 3.53 trillion economy, but there is scope for this to go to about 20-25% in another decade or decade and a half. By that time, India's economy also would have evolved and become much, much bigger than what it is today, right? So now let us come to the other areas in which the ecosystem and the other areas in which we as valuers are required to do valuations. So if I look at that, then the valuation which is required under Companies Act, then under accounting standards, then valuation is under IBC, NCLT, and for high courts. We do valuations for land acquisition, probate, partition, divorce, visa, litigation, support, arbitration, then sub-registrar's office, collector, whenever a deed is given for registration is impounded and we have to prove our case. Then valuation for mean profit. We also do valuations for SEBI, REITs, and infrastructure investment trusts. Okay, so these are the some of the areas. We also do a lot of valuations for income tax, cost of construction, capital gains, section 50C, section 56 to 10, rule 11, UAAA, UAE. That is basically part of capital gains only. Income from house properties is also an area which is evolving. More so because now the tax evaluations, income tax filing has become faceless, and more queries are being raised as to how you arrived at income from house property. So this is a new area of work for valuers, which was not happening much before. Then representing client in front of valuation officers and so many other things. Another point which works in favor of the valuers fraternity in India is if we looked at the valuation profession in developed countries, the profession is seeing a decline. The profession is seeing a decline in these other countries. This is the valuation profession, a global perspective, and the status of valuation profession in 2019. If we look at 2019, and this is for USA, in 2014, the practicing valuers were like, registered valuers like almost 1 lakh and practicing valuers like 87,000. In 2018, the number came down to 94,000 and 78,000 respectively, and this trend has continued. This trend has definitely continued in Western countries. More and more people are preferring to go to other fields rather than valuation. What could be the reason? Probably we will come to it in the next slide. And if you look at the practicing valuers age in this country, you find that very less people, less than 25 age would be 0.9% of the young valuers are there. Between 26 to 35, only 5.8% are practicing. Means valuers who are practicing in this profession. The 26 to 35 age group is only 5.8. 36 to 50 age group is 22.4. 51 to 65%, that is the maximum age group, that is 50% or above, and more than 66 is 20%. So this does not augur well for a profession, and that is what is happening in Western countries. So young people are not entering the field in Western countries, and here lies the great opportunity to our country to make a huge impact. The reason why this profession probably is suffering in these Western countries because of the high level of penetration of valuers. In USA, for a country of about 30 crores, there are 78,000 practicing valuers. That is one valuer for 4,000 people. In Australia, this is one valuer for 3,238 people. In UK, it is one valuer for 3,420 people. But if we looked at India, under Wealth Tax Act, it is my thinking that there may be about 20,000 active valuers in the field under Wealth Tax Act, which is basically applicable for income tax valuations. So in a country of 140 crore population, this works out to 70,000 per one valuer per 70,000 people. And if we looked at Companies Act, all the spheres, land and building, plant and machinery, and financial asset valuation, or securities and financial asset, one valuer for 2,80,000 people. So our penetration level is very low. Our penetration level is very low. Our economy is growing very fast. Under the circumstances, the need for valuers, which is a profession which is a must for nation building, is going to increase dramatically in future. That is my say. Now, look at the young population. India being a young population, it is a democratic, demographic dividend, you see. In 2022, as things stand today, India's population is 1.4 billion. People say that we might have overtaken China, or we may not have, but it is going to happen within a year or so. So this is where we stand today, 2022. In 2035, we will be without any doubt, the most populous nation in the world with a population of 1.56 billion. By that time, China's population will start to go down. It is already started to stall, and now it is starting to go down. China will have a population of about slightly less than 1.4 billion maybe. And in 2047, when India becomes 100-year-old country, it is forecasted that our population will be almost like 1.64, and we will have advantage of 18 crore people over and above China's population, and most of this population will be young. Now let us look at Indian economy. Indian economy is rising very, very fast. In 2006, India was ranked 12th in the world with an economy of the size of $1.22 trillion. In 2019, our rank improved from 12th to 6th, and we became a 2.81. They should read as trillion economy. In 2028, this is the forecast. India would have overtaken. We are today 5th in the world, below USA, China, Japan, and Germany. We are 5th. By 2028, we would have overtaken Germany and Japan to become the 3rd biggest economy in the world, with an economy of $6.44 trillion. Please don't read this billion. This is wrong. We would be $6.44 trillion economy, and in 2035, we can become 18.6 billion trillion. $18.6 trillion economy. So, and 2035 is not far off. Only 13 years from now, we are going to increase 5 times from where we are today. These are the projections which have come from very important agencies. And where will India stand at the end of 100 years of our independence? In all likelihood, in 101th year of our independence, India would have overtaken America to become the 2nd biggest economy in the world. If this does not happen in 2050, it is bound to happen in the decade from 2050 to 2060. There is no iota of a doubt in this. This is bound to happen. We have found our destiny. This is going to be our century. In 2048 or 2050, or maybe latest by 2055, we would have overtaken America to become the 2nd biggest economy in the world, with a economy which would be hitting $50 trillion. These are mind-boggling figures. And this cannot happen unless we have got a profession which is thriving, which is expanding, in which young mind which are trained to enter, in a profession which should lure the young mind to join it. So let us join our hands together. Let us join our hands together and make this profession vibrant. Let us impart knowledge to the others. Let us prevail upon government and IBBI and all the people who are in power to impress upon them that need for education in valuation is important, is a must. There has to be post-graduation studies. There have to be doctoral studies. Only then the profession can happen and can grow. And if this happens, I've got no doubt in my mind, when the profession is on the decline in the other countries and the profession is on the ascent in our country, within a decade or so, we can become world leaders in the field of valuation. This is bound to happen. This is bound to happen. It will happen. But a little bit of effort from all our side, the stakeholders, is very, very important. So let us become, good at, valuing different challenging valuations which will come forth in future, like valuation of hotels, petrol pumps, hospitals, old age homes, retirement homes, assisted living, geriatric care units, casinos, pubs and bars, agricultural properties, mineral extraction, waste management, and whatnot. The time is ripe for us. India is the country in which we are lucky to be born and alive today. This is the century for Asia, and India is going to be one of the most important actor in the valuation field, in the world economy, and as a consequence, the valuation field. So let us put our hands together and bring this noble profession up to a great height, so that we can serve our great nation and fulfill the destiny in which is, I would say, thrust upon us. This destiny which has been thrust upon us. Let us be up to the task. Challenge. Let us meet the challenge and do our bit. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mahendra ji. It's a very good presentation and optimistic view you have taken and you have expressed, going into a very macro level, why this rising need. I think you have very elaborately you have done this particular thing, and whereby you explained on the basis of data available, and that is how a present one should represent, and it gives highly motivating need for looking for capacity building. I think institution of values, I believe, is going in a right way, that way, that we are uh, you know uh, uh, we are stressing on capacity buildings, education, and all other factors. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
presentation. Nice to be with you. Now I would request Mr. Shyam Sundar. Please.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for that opportunity. It is indeed my pleasure to speak at this particular function and the event. I will just share my presentation. I have a very simple one slide presentation, so I'll keep it as simple as possible. Thank you, sir. It was a very interesting first technical session where we had a lot of data crunching which had happened, and the position of India in the world economy, etc., etc., set a perfect platform for this particular discussion. So I'm going to talk about something which will first bring in some more participation from the participants. So the most easiest of thing, I will talk about cricket. So I'm going to talk about cricket for the next couple of minutes and just look at how cricket has evolved over a period of time. So 20 years back, we are not looking at too much, 10, 20 years back, before 2015, cricket was very different, and the expectation on cricketers were very different. What was the expectation of a fast bowler? The fast bowler was expected to come and bowl fast. Very simple. What was the expectation of a off spinner? He was to bowl off spin, and a leg spinner was required to bowl leg spin, and a right hand batsman had to play as a right hand batsman. After T20 has come, what had happened? Things have changed. Things have changed. Now, what is expected of a fast bowler? Let's understand what is an expectation from a fast bowler, from his captain, from the audience, from the team. Is it to bowl fast or only bowl fast? He is also required to have a very good slower ball. A fast bowler is now expected to bowl a slower ball. A off spinner is expected to bowl a dusra, which goes the other way around. And now dusra has become tisra also. So an off spinner is required to bowl dusras and tisras, right? A leg spinner is required to bowl not just the leg spin, but the other one also. So cricketers evolve, people evolve, professionals evolve, and today's theme is rightly said, where we are looking at how the valuers, there is a rising need for valuers in the present ecosystem. Now, let's understand that the ecosystem per se is today getting matured, has changed. The expectations of various stakeholders is very different from where it started. So let's take a few examples as to how the expectations have changed, how the requirements have changed, how the valuers have raised to the occasion, how the valuers have raised to the occasion, and how they will continue to be even more important in the entire ecosystem. So let me start with my first story. As a speaker, I've always believed that the best thing what I can do is to tell some stories. So I'll start with my stories as well. So the first story which I want to talk about is an industrial estate. Now this happened where I was in RP, where I was appointed as an insolvency professional for a company. The primary operations of that company was to set up an industrial park. So the land was very much there, and we had to set up the industrial park. So what happened? As soon as I took over, I looked at the entire viability of the project and I felt the project was very much viable and we wanted to proceed with regard to the valuation. So we engaged a valuer to the value the land and building. Sorry, not the building, only the land. There was no building which was constructed. It was an empty land. I thought it was a very straightforward job to value that land. Parallelly, I was trying to understand that there was some difficulty on the end use of the land. And when the valuer had a look at the land, he came back and both of us sat, we were discussing and we realized that around 60 to 70 crores of money had gone into the project, but that project is in a water catchment area. Now, how does the valuer value this land was where we were all facing the challenge. Now, we need to understand in IBC, the valuation which this valuer gives becomes very important. I'll explain how at a later, this one subsequently. But then, yes, the guideline value there may be say 40 crore, but will there be a buyer who will buy it for 40 crore? May not be, because there is an end use restriction. There is an end use restriction. So valuer is not, his scope doesn't today end with just saying that, okay, this is the guideline value, therefore the value is 40 crore. He needs to get into understanding, okay, this is a water catchment area. There is a restriction on the end use of the particular land. Therefore, you will not be able to take a guideline value or any other value, but you need to look at it differently. And how differently they have to look at is absolutely where the challenge is. So, and their valuation report, the reason why I said is very important is because banks, most banks have this policy that they will not approve a resolution plan if the value of the resolution plan is less than liquidation. The unwritten rule for most banks is that they don't approve resolution plans which are less than the liquidation value. And who gives the liquidation value? The valuer gives the liquidation value. Therefore, it is very important to understand that the valuer today plays a role in the ecosystem, which at least in IBBI is the centerpiece of the entire resolution process. So in this case, the valuer had to apply his judgment, just not limit with saying that the value based on the recent transaction, based on guideline value, based on this is X. But he had to go further, indicating what is the restriction on end use, how it is going to affect. Therefore, how a value cannot be looked at from a very high level in this particular case, and people needs to get into understand as to what is the nature of the asset, etc., and accordingly you have to take a decision. So that is my first example. That today it is not so simple that it's not like 10 years back where the bank would say what is the value and then you come back, we do evaluation. But it is much more complicated today because of the stakeholders who are involved, especially when it comes to IBC cases. The valuer becomes a very important person and the requirements from the valuer is also very different. That's the first example which I would. The second story or the example which I would like to quote is a valuation which had to be done for a hospital. Now, the valuation of a hospital is not very complicated. I'm sure we would have done a lot of valuations where we would have valued hospitals. But the challenge here was the hospital was built on a land which did not belong to the hospital, which did not belong to the company. The land belongs to the promoter who had given it on lease to the company, and the company has set up the entire building, had constructed the entire building. Now, how do you value this? And the lease was not a long lease for 99 years. If it was for long lease of 99 years, it's a very different story, but it was not so. And the residual lease tenure was less than 10 years, it was 9 years odd. In which case, how do you value? You can't take the market price of the land because the land value is different. The building value is different. After 9 years, if you have to vacate the land, how will you vacate the building? So after 9 years, the value of the building is going to become zero. So how do you actually value it? And unless the value is given by the valuer, how do we move forward on the CARP? So that is where today the profession is evolving. As I said, the fast bowler is not required just to bowl fast, but he also has to have a good slower ball. Similarly, today valuers, the requirements from RPs, the requirement from banks, the requirement from IBBA and a lot of other stakeholders is not just the knowledge on valuation, but knowledge on all these. That was why it was rightly mentioned in the inaugural that it is a time where we need to develop more knowledge, knowledge in different aspects. How to look at intangibles, how to look at various legal hassles, how to bring all that into our reports. How do we report right? How do we make sure that we do a comprehensive job which is going to cover the requirements of all stakeholders? So all these were challenges which the valuer had to, at that point in time, handle. I'm sure most of us are going to get into more challenging assignments and we are going to learn more. And it's a very good thing that what is being done, that they're inviting for research papers, case studies. All these is a very welcome step where as valuers, whatever we have understood needs to be percolated down the system. It has to be shared with all the other valuers so that each valuer can learn in the process. I'll come to the third example. We were working for a project which was into real estate. And this company had a real estate project which was semi-completed. It was not fully complete. It was partially completed. Say out of 4 floors of say 6 floors of say 5 units, only 3 floors have happened in 4 units, and in 2 floors, only 1 floor has happened. And we wanted to sell this particular project in liquidation. We wanted to sell this project in liquidation. Now, please understand, there are home buyers who have all paid part amounts. Somebody has paid 30%, somebody has paid 40%, somebody has paid 50%. Those home buyers want completion of the project. And as somebody who wants to maximize the value for all stakeholders, IBBA requires that the value of all stakeholders has to be maximized. A system was being looked at as to how this project can be completed. So it was decided to sell this project, this real estate project, as a project. Now, what is that I'm trying to say? It was decided that it will be sold with the land, the building which is semi-completed, and the receivables from the home buyers. In other words, they said the whole logic was this: I need 8 crores to complete the project. I need 8 crores to complete the project, of which if I complete, 3 crores will come from the home buyers, because that is a receivable from this. So I need to spend 8 crores, I will get 3 crores. So 5 crore is the net deficit. So if somebody has to complete, we need to ask them to, we have to say, I will sell you for minus 5 crores. Am I making myself clear? I will explain once again. So what was intended was, we wanted to sell the asset not at a positive value of 5 crores, but at a negative value of 5 crores. Means anybody who buys this will also be given 5 crores, but their responsibility is they have to finish the project. And people can bid. How? Somebody can bid 5, somebody may bid 4.8 crores. It's a reverse auction. It is like a reverse auction. So we had to, the valuers, the resolution professionals, the home buyers authorized representatives, all of them had to sit together, devise a mechanism how this could be worked out, and finally the auction was made at a negative value. It was raised at a negative value. So these are all situations where the valuers are going to have a lot of interesting times moving forward, and I'm sure all of us are going to really enjoy all those. This one, I think there is a somebody has raised a hand. Can we have the questions at towards the end? Can we have the questions towards the end? I do see somebody had said it. Yeah, yes, Mr. Reddy, we will have it at the end of the this one. Yeah. So the fifth example which I would like to share is as of till now we have looked at more on the land and building and plant and machinery. So we will look at something from the financial valuer. So yeah, I see two more hands going up, but yeah, we will wait for the end of the session. I will take these questions. So we had a valuation which had to be done for a company which was delisted. And the intent was to make payment to non-residents. So we had to look at valuation from two sides. One, the valuation as per FEMA. Number two, the valuation as per delisting guidelines. Now, the valuation as per FEMA was coming to say 400 rupees. The valuation as per delisting guidelines was coming at around 380 rupees. Now, the question was, we have arrived at the valuation under two different legislations. And both these legislations are applicable for this transaction. But which should be adopted? Which should be adopted? The valuation somewhere ended when we arrived at the valuation based on two particular legislation. Now, the methodology in a financial valuation sometimes will depend on the legal regulations also. If the regulatory says that this needs to be done, then it needs to be done only by that. So that way, the value was arrived. But finally, we had to state which is the final value for the purpose of this transaction, where both were applicable. So we had to finally take a view based on interpretation of statutes, etc., to finalize what is the valuation in this particular case. So I would like to reiterate what I started, that the ecosystem is changing. The requirements from the industry is changing. The requirements from various stakeholders is changing. And in matters like IBC and Companies Act, etc., the requirement of valuer becomes extremely important. And the entire process somewhere is also based on the valuations which the valuer does. And therefore, we would have to develop new skills. As spinners, we need to start working on our dusras and tisras. And as leg spinners, we need to start working on our other one. So that is what is required today. We need to expand our knowledge. We need to learn new things. We need to understand new challenges, and we need to be developing all those challenges. Once we do that, I'm sure we have an excellent opportunity which is there in this particular ecosystem. I definitely feel there is a huge opportunity which is there, and I wish you all the best for this Valuers Day. Thank you for inviting me. The pleasure was mine. I guess we have few questions. Do we take it at the end of the session, or how is that we want to do? Maybe the moderators can suggest which is the best way we can move forward with regard to.
We can take the questions later, maybe 10 minutes slot allotted there.
Pardon?
There's a 10-minute slot for question answer. We can take it together. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Shyam Sundar sir. So I invite Pramod sir to continue with the next session, sir. Yeah.
Thank you, Shyam Sundarji.
Thank you, sir.
Such a good example you have explained here. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks.
Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So let us start with plant and machinery. A good elaboration by Mahendra sir, Shyam Sundar sir. Very nice to learn about the new upcoming opportunities and the changes needed. That was very important. The changes needed in our approaches, how we can support the whole system. That is also very much important. Though opportunities are there, but some changes are needed within ourselves so that it will be effectively passed on to the stakeholder. Thank you very much. Now, coming back to our today's session, from plant and machinery, I would like to add a few words to the opportunities or how we can proceed further, what I have experienced in recent past. So startups are increasing. That is a good sign for India because we are having inherent qualities within us, and those are needed to be explored by putting more businesses and more challenges. Those are faced by the industries. Those we should handle ourselves, and that is what has been started. As per Economic Times published in 2018, India had the world's lowest entrepreneur activity, which with just 5% of Indian owning their own business. Now these days are changed and the scenario is totally different. According to the State of Indian Startup Ecosystem Report 2021, India has over 5,500 active investors and about 38,000 startups. These figures are in 2021. There are additions to these figures just now. The Indian government has taken up various initiatives to establish a favorable Indian startup ecosystem. It has launched new portal Startup India to promote the growth. The startups in India is becoming a significant player in the Indian economy using the latest technology, customer-friendly approach, new taxation policy, relaxation in GST, ease of business registration, allocation of industrial zones in various states, etc. Now, why India is a viable investment and entrepreneurship destination today is it is one of the world's fastest growing economies. It facilitates sharp edge for technology innovation. It helps to provide a favorable framework for entrepreneurs to reach the large market. It is capturing incentive the country's large youth population. As mentioned earlier also, youth population is dominantly playing a good role for the Indian economy to start a business in India. An observation of the Economist Intelligent Unit mentions 8 Indian cities among global hotspots. In terms of competitiveness, Delhi is at the top. Of course, our IOV-RVF is also at Delhi. And rest list includes Mumbai, Bangalore, Ahmedabad, Pune, Hyderabad, Chennai, and Kolkata. Thus, the trend of entrepreneurship and startup boom is increasing. This is creating opportunities for valuation of plant and machinery as many of such entrepreneurs are approaching financial institutions for loan purpose. Now, some of the opportunities which are dominant, what I have faced or means I have interpreted and also done some valuations are purchasing old plants or machinery to save on capital cost and cost of production. There are also companies, organizations, entrepreneurs who prefer to purchase old machinery or equipment imported or indigenous. Valuation is of vital importance in such cases to disburse the loan against mortgage of these assets. Opportunity to work with land and building counterpart. Due to the high rapid urbanization, thousands of people migrate to cities. Yeah, we will take questions answered at the last 10 minutes. Please bear for some time. Due to this trend, the need for affordable houses is rising. In fact, it is a great opportunity for the real estate industry. It is worth mentioning here that big housing complexes, commercial complexes are having assets related to plant and machinery that include WTP, STP, solar, electricity equipment, water recycling facility, material handling equipment, etc., which gives opportunity to plant and machinery valuers to work with those our associates. Then boom. Now the trend is of electrical cars and electrical charging stations. This can now be the new opportunity for valuation. The emerging trend of electric cars and hence charging stations is an initial phase to save on environmental aspects. We should be updated with this kind of technology and related cost benefit analysis, which of course have definitely impact on the valuation if we work on cost benefit analysis. That would be useful for valuation. Another sector which is very much upcoming is manufacturing of artificial body parts, human body parts. The manufacturing of artificial body parts is one of such most amazing sectors that is trending rapidly. Setups requiring to facilitate the manufacturing is an opportunity for us. Valuation of machinery of these related units can be a challenge as there are various technological and of course obsolescence aspects needing due consideration frequently. This is what I have observed is again due to big population, vertical farming is the recent trend. The increasing population is forcing to occupy a major portion of the fertile land, limiting the resources of food production. This imbalance in food production and consumption needs strong solution, one of which is vertical farming. It provides an efficient solution to this problem. It is the utilization of farming techniques which are hydroponic, aeroponic, aquaponics in vertically arranged soil layers in an agriculturally altered environment. Though this activity is related to agriculture sector, the techniques and technology requires plant and machinery that, as per my opinion, is an opportunity for valuation. Of course, we need to have good study of technology and their ins and outs, if and buts. We need to understand very thoroughly with our agriculture or farmers or the expert consultant in agriculture industry. Here, as mentioned earlier in first session, concept of registered valuers and the opportunities therein. The concept of registered valuers is mentioned under section 247 of Indian Companies Act 2013. Its main agenda is to regulate the practice of valuation in India and also to validate with the international valuation standards. The valuation is required for activities such as fund or capital raising, merger acquisition, sale of a business, strategic business decisions, shareholders disputes, voluntary value assessment, and also for regulatory compliances such as taxation, financial reporting, purposes under RBI, Income Tax, Companies Act, SEBI laws, etc. The valuation of a listed company whose share is actively traded on a nationwide stock exchange can be derived from its prevailing market price over a period of time. However, the real challenge is the valuation of an unlisted company, very vital. From 1st February 2019 onwards, none other than IBBI registered valuer is authorized to conduct valuations under the applicable provisions present in the Companies Act 2013. Only in case of SEBI, the registered merchant banker is authorized to undertake the valuation by the discounted cash flow method. The valuation of plant and machinery is a part of above avenues and is expected to carry out together with real categories, rest categories of asset classes, that is SFA and land and building valuers. Generally, it is part of enterprise valuation. Now, following paragraph mention various purposes under which valuation of plant machinery is required. Just a gist. Valuation for merger and acquisition. For a young technology company, acquisition is a key milestone for management and can represent the acceleration of the company towards its strategic goals. Business combinations require the use of acquisition method of accounting. Acquired assets and liabilities must be recorded at their fair values. Some tangible assets and liabilities such as cash, accounts receivables, and account payable are usually straightforward. Other tangible assets such as inventory, fixed asset may need to be adjusted based on independent appraisals. In addition, the intangible assets and goodwill must also be identified and valued using an analysis commonly referred to as purchase price allocation study, where our role of plant and machinery, even land and building valuers is there for purchase price allocation. Valuation for financial statements. Accounting valuation is the process of valuing a company's assets and liabilities in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles for financial reporting purposes. Accounting valuations for fixed asset is typically marked at its historical price, while marketable securities like stocks and bonds are assessed at the current market prices. If the valuation is for financial statement purposes, for example, to determine the balance sheet value of some assets, then the accounting standard dictate that the basis of valuation should be fair value. And what is fair value is the price that would be received to sell an asset or paid to transfer a liability in an orderly transaction between market sector or sector participants at the measurement date. Valuation for banks, finance, capital raising, and liquidation. Capital raising is the valuation for security against loan that must satisfy Banking Regulation Act 1949. Secured loan or advance has been precisely defined in Clause N of Section 5 of Banking Regulation Act 1949 as a loan or advance made on the security of the assets, the market value of which is not at any time less than the amount of such loan or advance. So it is continued today also. And liquidation value, which is auction sale, where the auction sale is by banks or financial institution courts to recover dues. There is an element of distress, a cloud regarding title and the chance of litigation, which have the effect of dampening the enthusiasm of the bidders, making them cautious, thereby depressing the price. On the other hand, when purchasers start bidding, an element of competition enters into auction. Human ego and desire to do better and excel other competitors leads to competitive bidding, each trying to outbid the other. So liquidation value is also one of the major criteria. Once this Companies Act has come, and resolution professionals also require such type of valuation for fair value and distress values. And orderly liquidation, forced sale liquidation, I will not repeat this. We have covered, means how in the courses also we are covering every time what is orderly and what is forced sale value. Valuation for insurance, the physical assets, though Companies Act has not yet covered insurance, but it is also an opportunity for people who want to work extra mile. They can get registered for insurance valuation also. Though it is similar, the rules, regulations are a bit different, and one need to check the relative insurance policies for loss assessment. The physical assets are insured for one of the following two reasons: the replacement of asset or income or both, loss through the occurrence of specified contingencies, and relief from legal liabilities incurred through the occurrence of specified contingencies. Here the terminology loss of profit is used. The loss of profit insurances are insured for protection from loss of income of the owners consequent to the material damages. Due to some of the disastrous events, the insured is not in a position to run his business operations for quite a substantial periods, leading to heavy loss of income. The loss of profit insurances protect the insured against the fixed or standing expenses, which are anyway continued even when the business is not operating, and loss of owner's income. We can go to our COVID arena when we have definitely checked that how the businesses have been closed for some time and there was loss of profit. At that time, insurance, if somebody has paid for that insurance, they have been compensated according to their loss of profit. Valuation for leasing. The lessor is the legal owner of the asset and the property, and he gives the lessee the right to use or occupy the asset or the property for a specific period. During the contract, the lessor retains the right of ownership of the property and is entitled to receive periodic payments from the lessee based on their initial agreement. Depending upon lease conditions, value of interest of lessor means the lessor or lessee means for whom we are working, that is important, whose interest is to be checked. Accordingly, we can do the values of lessor's interest in the property, normally consisting of two parts: capitalized value of the ground rent income or lease payment for unexpired period of lease, and present value of the right of reversion of the property at the expiry of lease period. And value of the lessee's interest is capitalized value of net income receivable from the property for unexpired period of lease. And one more thing where valuation is required is rent fixation, means services of valuation can be obtained to fix the rent of the asset under lease contract. This is also one of the opportunities for the valuers. When Companies Act came into existence, there is one another opportunity for plant and machinery or fixed asset valuers is componentization. It is regarding fixed asset to allocate and apportion the initially recognized amount into different parts and capitalizing each part independently. This results into separate depreciation rates and life of each component. As per Companies Act 2013 Schedule 2, it requires that depreciation and useful life of significant components of an asset should be ascertained separately. Valuation of components means to ascertain the value of significant components of the fixed asset, ascertaining the amount on which future depreciation for the component will be charged. Company needs to identify only material or significant parts and components separately for depreciation. There are various industrial sectors. Now, I have covered in common how the process or how the opportunities are emerging into. Again, to add to this, I'm trying to tell that there are various industrial sectors and where these activities are parallelly going on together. Due to Make in India drive, those sectors are exploring by new setups, takeovers, joint ventures, etc. Overseas companies are setting up their plants in India. That is adding into our opportunity of business requiring valuation. Now, next slide mentions some of the major sectors. These are automobile, aviation, pharmaceutical, iron and steel manufacturing, plastic, rubber, non-ferrous metal production, paper, power generation, textile, cement production, dairy, petrochemicals, oil and gas, vegetable oil, food, soft drink, beverages. So these are sectors where all such opportunities are open. So that is what I tried to elaborate further, in addition to about two people who eminently told us how the opportunities are.
Thank you, Pramod sir. So I'll ask the participants to ask the question. They can write in the Q&A part or raise their hand. I'll allow them to speak.
I was seeing a few questions which have been put forward. One is what is the progress of values bill? That is a very prominent question. Very prominent questions. Every now and then I've been asked this, what is the progress? Regarding this, I would like to say that, it is with the government, number one. And government has its own priorities and own way of presenting any bill. So whenever the right time, I think this bill is going to be there in front of Parliament. So let us wait and see how this is progressing. But in a way, in other way, whenever I'm finding this question, it gives me certain answers from our fraternity as well. The people, I think there were few who were really against this bill, are now becoming aware day by day that this bill is so vital for valuers. Further progress of valuers, for their protection and for the the society to trust this profession lies in the formation of this bill. And this question is for Kakuleji, sir. Your valuers versus country population, but we have only 8% taxpayers. So just
Mahendra, sir.
Mahendra, sir.
Hello, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah,
Yes.
go ahead, Mahendra.
Sir, what I'm saying is that may be correct that at the moment we are having only 8% of people who are paying taxes. But
Yes.
as we go forward and as our economy grows bigger and bigger, and as more and more people comply with the tax requirements, obviously the number of taxpayers will increase. But as we said, where we stand today and where we will be in another 10, 15 years down the line in future is exponentially different. So looking at those aspects, our parameters are bound to improve. Going forward, there will be more and more opportunities to the valuers who are in this field. But the most important thing is that we should be in a position to impress upon youngsters, the young minds, to join the profession. Unless we do that, any profession does not have any future. So we should see to it that youngsters make what should we say, a choice to become valuers. People who are there in the some other profession joining valuation profession as a stopgap arrangement doesn't really serve the purpose in the long run. We have to have clear vision now. That is what I feel. What do you say, Vinayji?
I think my view on that is that there is one part demand and there is another part supply. So both have to be balanced. If there is a demand, the supply is going to be there, and over the years, how you have shown also, and we know that how the values have increased. There is a growth, and depending upon the demand. But until unless we have a supply of good valuers, quality valuers, I would say, dependable and responsible valuers with good work, this is a process. This is a process. This cannot be achieved in 1 or 2 days or whatever. But now the systems are set in to that extent. So for this talking about the population or the income tax payers or whatnot, India is full of probabilities and possibilities. Everybody knows, with such a huge population and with the so much of assets with India. I think this country is full of assets. We don't think I think we valuers have to think beyond only banking valuation. That is my view. We have to move out of that, and there's a huge scope. Wherever I'm laying my fingers, I'm finding that there is a requirement of valuer. I've seen so many acts or so many ministries or so many authorities, and the values are required. So from where? From amongst us only, no? And we have come up, very well, before 2017. What was the value of valuers in the eyes of the government? You and me know very well when we started this. Now there's a shift. There's a big shift. Now at least they are not saying, I am not listening to all that the valuers are uneducated, they are not qualified and all this, especially this land and building and plant and machinery. Even today also there may be some shortcomings besides that, but it is developing. My perception after seeing the reports and very well, we perceive the this peer reviews, and we go for a huge peer review at IOV. Being the largest, we have to undertake at least 15-20 peer reviews each year. So after seeing all those reports, uh, my thinking is that some change is now coming, some change. And for that, people like us, Shakuleji, yourself, Patleji, Shyam Sundarji, Patel Saab, we have to work on that. We have to give back to the society what society has given to us. This is my view. This is now a time for all of us to give back to the society, and they deserve. So I think let's see maybe a year or two. Now we are after COVID, we are in normal conditions, post-COVID, and post-COVID is proving to be, better period now before the pre-COVID. And that was my, I used to say this also, that COVID is now turning the tables around. So valuers will be much sought after. That is there. Thank you.
Sir, there is one question over here
Yeah.
for one SFA. I think Patel sir or Sham Sundar sir can answer to that.
I'll just read out the question. It's from Indu Agarwal.
Please. Please.
Good evening. I am SFA asset class RV. I am CA and CMA as well. My question is that once valuer bill is passed, then will I be able to retain COP of CA and CMA also, along with COP of RV? Kindly clarify.
This I can answer very well. This cannot be answered by Patel Sahab or Shyam Sundar.
I was slightly worried what to answer.
I knew it, so that's why I said. You see, as far as the values bill is concerned, in the draft itself, it is mentioned that there will be a window for some years for a person to adopt a particular profession. Since valuation has to prove itself that one can be only a valuer, and this can only happen after a proper education system in valuation only sets in, where we are going to have graduation as well as post-graduation courses in valuation or doctoral or whatsoever. So until then, and it may take some time, until then, other acts we can't say, because if the CA institute says that, well, CA can only perform this auditing or CA's job, not the valuation, then it's a different matter. But as far as the values bill is concerned, everyone who is a valuer today, registered valuers, or I would like to mention it here specifically, it is seamless, and they can have their other works in hand, and not restricted to do only valuation. But definitely it should move towards that only, and people are doing. I know very well. Even I think our Kakuleji is undertaking only valuations as far as my knowledge goes. And Ataleji, I know very well. There are a number of such people who are doing only valuations. Their bread and butter is on valuation. So we have to move towards that. It takes time. It will take time. It has taken almost 54 years or 50 years, I would say, to have this transformation. And yet it may take some 5-10 years, God knows. But of course, and once the valuer bill comes, it is this rider with this. Thank you.
There's another question from Rajan sir. On a parcel of land, if building is not fully constructed, but the construction is done as per bylaws, can we give the stage value for the building construction?
Kakuleji, your take.
Yeah, obviously we can. There is absolutely no doubt. As I said in my presentation, the banks require valuation for for purchase, when they give finance for construction, then including stage values. Whenever a flat is being constructed by a builder and then partially completed, we have to give stage value. All these are parts of valuation exercise. Only thing is, we as valuers should see to it that it is its legality, and whether it complies with all the regulations.
Exactly, Kakuleji very rightly said. And I always believe that your valuation report is a factual report of the situation. That is the main thing. Factual. What is on earth? Simply. So, any other question?
Prakash sir, do you have any question? You have raised the hand. I have allowed you to speak. You can speak.
Yeah,
sir.
yeah. You allow her.
Lakshmi Narayan sir, you can also speak, sir, if you have any question.
Yeah. One by one, you please allow them.
Yeah.
Sir, only a small request, since RK Patel is there with us and we are talking about the valuation ecosystem, could you please throw light on how to get oneself qualified for doing valuations for insurance in various insurance agencies which are there? How to go about it? If you could briefly throw light on this, that would be.
So for that also, I can answer you a bit of it.
Okay. Anybody, sir, anybody who
but,
can.
You see, you may have noticed that we have created one specific discipline in insurance as insurance valuer, and we are going to soon start a particular course for that purpose.
Okay.
For the purpose of insurance valuation. Thereby, we can certify a person of an insurance valuer. It will not be directly like Mr. Mahendra Kapule submits his application and we just give him as a insurance valuer. It will not be like this. It will be after passing a certain training and the examination.
Okay.
So I think we are working on that.
Okay,
and I always want people around who can work on very well my on such courses. We should now.
Those will be IRD approval.
Well, that will be later on. First of all, let us have this.
Yes.
We will float and then we'll approach IRDA. No doubt, because we are MOU with the ISLA also. So they are also sort of working on these things.
I see RK Patel is
Patel sir has finally joined.
I see RK Patel is itching to speak. Please.
See,
yeah. He has something to say.
Insurance surveyor and loss assessor. That is the term of professional who is surveying the loss and then recommending to the insurance company the assessment and saying that at this amount you can settle the claim. Okay. So under Insurance Act 1938 and subsequent regulations published by IRDA, there is no term like valuer, okay, in the whole system of insurance. Okay. What it says that the assets are to be valued at a particular definition, okay, like reinstatement value or market value or indemnity value or agreed value or whatever it may be as per the definitions given under fire policy, machinery breakdown policy, electronic equipment policy, engineering policies like the external all risk policy, industrial all risk policy, or then marine erection policy, and loss of profit policy as well. Okay, so there are different kinds of definitions one has to adhere to. Okay, that is what I was meaning about the regulations under particular sector. Okay, every sector has their own regulatory system. Okay, so here also insurance is also a regulatory system wherein one has to do the valuation as per those regulations. Correct. So the insurance surveyor is required to do the valuation at the time of claim, not at the time of taking the policy. Okay, where most of the insurers at this stage, most of the industries, however large it may be, okay, or however organized it may be, what my experience says that more than 95% of industries have not properly handled that insurance portfolio, and they find some kind of strain when the claim arises because mostly they find themselves underinsured, and to that extent proportional claim gets reduced. Okay, so they find a lot of financial crunch at that time, and they go for option of either reinstatement or market value settlement. Okay, if they go for market value settlement, then depreciation, huge deduction of depreciation, and if they go for reinstatement value, then there is a huge underinsurance. Okay, so these kind of eventualities are happening, and that's why they need the professional valuers to do the valuation to pick the sum insured before commencement of the policy. Okay, great. And at the same time, the same valuer can also help him to prove the claim that they were properly insured at the time of claim. Okay, great. So these kind of cases are coming. At the same time, when the insured is not happy with the settlement by the insurance company, they have option to go either to arbitrator or to the court of law. Okay, consumer forum and court of law lastly. Okay, there most of the disputes you find, and if you see the judgments of arbitrators and judgments of the courts, they are ending up at the not the admissibility of the claim, but most of the claims are ending at the valuation. Okay, so the arbitrators and the court also sometimes gives the directive to the insured, at the same time the insurance company, to get the valuation from an expert valuer. Okay, I think at that time the question comes, who is the best valuer, insurance surveyor or the valuer who is registered under IBBI or any other other institution? Okay, I think this is a big gap in the insurance sector. Okay, this is what the ecosystem is. So that's why I have been telling that there are a lot of challenges and a lot of opportunity as well. Okay, so insurance is also a very gray area where we have a lot of scope to advise to the insureds to fix their sum insured properly, advise them what kind of risk one has to cover at what cost. Okay, I think ultimately they are interested into covering maximum risk at least premium. Okay, I think this is what the objective should be, and we valuers can definitely help into, as Vinayji said, and we have been discussing in a number of meetings also, that we should have a specialized course on insurance, like Exim we did recently and DCF is going on. I think this is kind of a similar course. We need a specialized course, because see, valuers should not only be able to assess the loss and do the valuation at the time of claim only. I think he should have the complete ecosystem, and he should have complete, gamut of the insurance, so that he can advise not in the beginning of the policy, but till the judgment is given by any court of law. I think this is a very big area, and we valuers can jump into and explore our potential, I think. Okay, and Neeraj ji is also there. He is also working for.
You are saying the very right thing. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And
You take large corporate sectors, large corporate sector. Okay.
Yes.
They always go for valuation before procuring the policy. I give you the examples of number of companies who are tendering out, like GAIL, IOCL, and even big private sectors also, like Adani's and Reliance and all these people. Okay. Exactly. I think we should explore to this area. Otherwise, no, big fours are again going to play the game.
Yeah, that is very much required.
Yeah.
Atle Saab is smiling because he is also. Anyway, Kaukale Saab, I think this is a very good elaboration by Patel Saab.
Fantastic.
Regarding that clarity, it clears out,
Yes.
Thank you, Patel Saab. Any other question?
Sir, good evening.
Yeah.
Sir, good evening. I am Sundara Pandian.
Okay. Thank
Sir,
you.
in fact, I just wanted to thank you because IOV has organized for the DCF class for the certification program. In fact, I was just wanted to convey to R.K. Patel, sir, with all his time schedule and everything, he started giving us a wonderful lecture. In fact, we are only few. I'm really surprised that this kind of opportunity should be taken by everyone, because what has happened, only for 10 people she is spending more time. If suppose 50 or 40 will be there, that will be really good actually. In fact, I'm requesting this to do more session like that, so that I'm a learner. I just always wanted to learn. I just have 3 questions here, sir. Sir, shall I ask?
Yeah, please.
Yes, sir. Question number 1. See, Mr. Mahendra Kakle sir is there, and R.K. Patel sir is there. You are all there. With regard to the research on valuation, everybody is talking actually, we'll have to do some research, we'll have to do some new thing, we'll have to find out some new kind of a thing. In fact, our R.K. Gandhi sir also, once he was mentioning about sinking fund, because whatever you are set aside that amount, which is not equal to the payment which is making after the completion of the entire period, that is not sufficient. That means where we are going, we need to find out that. What is your suggestion with regard to the research on valuation? This is one. Number 2, to our IP sir. Sir, whenever any complex valuation is there, suppose 2 values are giving some, there is no methods to find out the value, and this is the only method. In that case, as a IP, what is the decision you will take? This is two. Third question, Sir was mentioning, our P&M Sir was mentioning so many values and what is that which is happening. Correct. Liquidation value, whenever we are taking up the liquidation value, we assess on the percentage. But how to arrive at the liquidation percentage to arrive that? These three things I just wanted, sir. Please. Thank you so much, sir. Goelji.
Anji, Pandian Sahab, you have asked 3 questions which require a proper CV program, I think.
Right, that's right.
Calculus of just brief.
Yeah, sir, the first question regarding that, the research which happens in any field, it is very clear research can happen in a big way in any field only when there is a post-graduation and doctoral studies are allowed and proper institution and courses happen. That is the truth all over the world. If you look at various papers published on Google and everything, those will be research papers published by doctoral students or by post-graduation students. So that sort of what should we say, the environment or the ecosystem has to happen, and for that the regulator, that is IBBI, and the RVs, I mean RVOs which are there in the field, they will have to now act together cohesively and decide that right time has come in India for all these things to happen. If we want to find our place as one of the foremost members in valuation profession all over the world, that is India, the flag of India to keep flying, we should now step into this particular area with firm resolve and try to address the situation. I think the time is ripe, and things can work out very fast also. Everything is in place now broadly. And it is not that we didn't have any experience of post-graduation studies in valuation. We already had experience, and I think there will be a lot of universities who will be, with the help of IBBI and registered valuers organization like our IOVRA, will be coming forward to take such courses if at all need arises and if they are allowed.
I think, Kalkuleji, you have absolutely right on dot, and this is a small beginning. We are just a small beginning we are taking up during this our Indian Values Congress. I think I told in the beginning as well that paper presentation in each session. So we are now we are on the verge of circulating to all the branches of IOV and other eminent people to come up somebody who can give the presentation on the basis of his research. And we at institution now in our council has deliberated upon it, and we are we are conscious that some research papers we should keep on publishing in. We have such a good instrument, very well, Indian Valuer and the Valuer and other publications. We are going ahead with publications also. So that way we are going. Just to give an example, we at Delhi government asked us about the revision in circle rates. So a bit of research work we did. We involved a lot of valuers throughout the city of Delhi in the different regions, and we came up with a very good report, and we are soon going to publish that entire report on that revision of circle rates in Delhi. So I think it is high time. Kakuleji, you have absolutely right. And even Pandian Sahab, I know.
A small input, sir, since you are talking about this Delhi government thing, I'm very happy to inform you that Goa government is involving IOV Goa branch into formulation of guideline rates for plots as well as built up areas in Goa. They already agreed. So this is the latest development.
Great. Sir, these informations we should have, and we should keep on publishing about this.
I think
so that people of other areas know also that what is happening.
This talk leads to mass appraisal actually. Okay. I think mass appraisal is a very big issue in our country. And most of the cities and most of the states are facing this issue. Okay. Yeah. Similarly, if you go to the certain specialized area, not only the Delhi, Delhi-like places or other states. Okay. Yeah. But if you see that today, some of the ports, they have access land, and they are facing how to put it in best use. Okay. And day by day, their lease rents are reducing. I think this is the subject of research, no? Kakuli, except few ports, most of the ports have access land, and they have their lease rents are reducing. Okay. So what is at the same time, imports exports are growing. I think this calls for applied research. Okay.
Patel sir, I would implore you people that come up with some good subjects and let us send it across.
No, there are a lot of areas, sir. There are a lot of areas. I give you a few
Please,
I think Mr. Syam is there, and number of other chartered accountants, cost accountants are there. If you see the accounting standards, okay, take out the valuation abstracts. There are a lot of areas where we need to do the research. Okay, if you see the Ind AS 113. That is the fair value. I think nowhere it has been said that how to derive the fair value. Okay, but it should be equitable value. Okay, equitable value for the stakeholders for whom you are doing the valuation. Okay, and who are they going to be the users for that? I think this fair value or equitable value itself is a big subject. Similarly, impairment of assets. Okay, impairment also is a very big subject. Okay, and it calls for a lot of research on that, and very few research has very few people have written articles. Maybe might have made the models, but not the applied research. Okay, I think we should concentrate more on that.
We should consolidate a list of topics.
Yeah,
and immediately start this process.
I think come back to the questions of Mr. Sundar Pandian. Okay. Yeah. Still, we have not answered except the research. Yeah.
So second question, you have to answer.
So the second question was, what happens if there are two valuers and they give values which are either not matching or completely different? So from a practical perspective, what we look at is variance will always be there. Two valuers will not come up with the same value. So as long as the variance is not very material, we average it out. So somebody says it is 14 crore, somebody says it is 17 crore, we average it and say it is 15.5. That's how we take it. But assuming the variance is very high, there have been cases where we have gone for a third value and try to see what happens after we appoint a third value. There have been instances where we have gone for a third value also. That's the answer for the question. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And his third question is still there, liquidation value. Okay.
But yeah, how to arrive at the percentage?
Yeah. See, first of all, let us forget about the percentage. Okay. I think this is the misconception. And this has been derived by most of the valuers from the banking requirement. Okay. What bank says that you work out the fair market value first and take its 85 to 80% to derive the realizable value, and take 70% of fair value to derive the distress value. And most of the valuers have misconception that the distress value is the liquidation value. Okay. And that is how they take the percentage, but it is a wrong concept. But one has to definitely quantify the cost of liquidation. I think liquidation value is to be, means fair value is to be discounted to the extent of cost of liquidation. If you take the case of open land, okay, if you have derived the fair value, let us say 50 crore rupees, and then you have to work out the liquidation cost. What will be the liquidation cost? It will not be 70%, 30% of the fair value. It will be the cost of advertisement of for sale, and maybe the transaction cost, okay, brokerage or something. So it could be hardly 5% to 6%, or maybe maximum 10%, depending on kind of or condition of the land. So liquidation cost will be very low. But if you take the case of plant and machinery, then in that case, to realize the value, the liquidation value, you have to do a lot of work. Okay, you have to dismantle the plant and then take out the usable equipments or the scrap, whatever it may be. So it may amount to, let us say, 50 to 60% sometimes. So one has to work out the cost of liquidation. So Mr. Sundar Pandian, it is not the percentage now. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But we
You are
have
right.
to derive the percentage based on the quantification. Okay.
Agreed. Agreed, sir. You are
Yeah.
right.
Similarly,
Okay.
that happens to financial assets as well. Okay. Financial instruments or shares, when they are to be liquidated, I think they have different system for that. Mr. Syam may throw on light on that. Okay.
I think that
So,
is again very elaborated,
sir, I must appreciate, okay, that yesterday Vinaji was saying that I am top taskmaster, okay, for my distillery. But when I started the course of DCF and having taken 5 to 6 lectures, okay, I have a tough student, okay, that is Mr. Sundar Pandyan.
Not at all, sir.
Mr.
Still,
Sundar
I'm a
Pandyan,
learner, sir.
Yeah.
Mr. Sundar Pandyan met me in Chennai recently.
And he's
He
a very
told
good
me-
faculty also.
He was like upset, why people are not coming up for this DCF, such a beautiful course you are having. So why people are not joining? More people are joining this course. He showed me his concern about that, and today also he has said so. Thank you, Pandyan sir. And
Thank you so
Okay,
much,
we
sir.
can-
Thank
we
you so
can-
much, sir. Thank you.
Please.
I think there was another question, sort of.
Vinay,
from
may I
Mr.
leave? I have to attend another meeting at 6 o'clock.
Okay. So we'll wind up now.
That's
Just a brief. The one has asked that there are only 3 categories for land and building, plant and machinery, and SFA in IBBA registered. Why not agriculture? Sir, initially it is thought that these 3 categories would be there, and then later on they may keep on adding. But I would like to mention, you please go through a conduct of valuation 8B. So where if you are conducting any valuation and where you come across agricultural land, so there you can have a expert opinion regarding that those particular assets which are not covered, similar other like mining and other like that. So I think let us now call up for question answer. Let our Mr. Neeraj Kapoor give vote of thanks, sir. Please, yours, sir.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everybody. Respected
Good evening.
IOV President, Mr. P.K. Tyagarajan, sir, our Honorable General Secretary, Mr. Vinay Goyal ji, IOV Vice President, Mr. R.K. Patel, and other friends and valuers. It's a great honor to propose a vote of thanks to all who have helped us in making this 53rd Valuers Day on a theme of the rising need for the valuers in present ecosystem, such as resounding success. First of all, I would like to propose heartily vote of thanks to our President, Mr. P.K. Tyagarajan, for gracing today's Valuers Day. I would like to thank our distinguished speakers, Mr. Mohinder Kakule, Mr. Pramod Atle, and Shyam Sundar ji, for making this webinar interesting and meaningful. I would like to present thank to our Honorable General Secretary Vinay Goyal for his modernization and extensive support for IOV RBF for this CEP webinar. I would like to thank our beloved Vice President Mr. R.K. Patel for his moral support and guidance. I am happy to express vote of thanks to all staff members and all participant members who have made the Valuers Day great success. Let's take a pledge to use VR proudly and take the valuation profession at a greater height by motivating more and more people to join our profession. I once again thank all of your cordial cooperation. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Neeraj ji.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.